The further you look, the more complexities that shipping has. All of these moving parts are designed to get, say, a piece of coal from the coal mines, to the power plant to be burned and turned into electricity. It allows us to get products from other places that we might not otherwise have access to in our local economies. Shipping, at the very least, is a vital role in our modern economy and how it operates. After all, we all need to get our $2,000 broken Galaxy Folds as soon as possible. While shipping has a lot of benefits, it also has a lot of drawbacks. Carbon emissions, price, and time are the three that are on the forefront of this. For this, we will be focusing on the carbon emissions for these methods. We'll also be using a standard laptop weighing in at 8 pounds with packaging to give a more realistic scenario. With the freight market being as competitive as it is, it's really important that companies try to provide the best possible price for the buyer. Looking at trains, planes, and trucks, let's try to simulate these conditions on a route from Los Angeles to Chicago. The U.S. Energy Information Administration outlines figures for how much CO2 is produced by burning different types of fuel. They publish that diesel burns at a rate of 22.4 pounds per gallon and 21.1 pounds per gallon for jet fuel. Going by train, a standard 40-foot container weighing at 100,000 pounds on a train from Los Angeles to Chicago would produce around 5,000 pounds of CO2, meaning it would produce about 0.4 pounds of CO2 to transport our laptop. For reference, the average car produces just over 10,000 pounds of CO2 in a year. While trains can be very efficient in their operation, they can also be very slow as well, especially with companies like Amazon needing to fulfill their 2-day shipping promise to the customer. This is where air freight comes in. If you ever need to go somewhere quickly, you take a plane as you can get to your destination in under a day versus longer with other means. After all, if you had an important meeting on the other side of the country, it would be impolite to say that you'll be there in a week or two when your train gets there. So with planes, the most common cargo airplane in the US is the 737-200F. The aircraft itself weighs 62,400 pounds, meaning it can carry an additional 38,000 pounds plus fuel if needed. This 4-hour flight, spanning 1,740 miles, burns 31,034 gallons of fuel by taking the most direct route. Of course, the most direct route doesn't always happen, as planes can get delayed either on the ground or the air, and they're still burning fuel while they're delayed. So we'll say that our 737 burns 3,500 pounds of jet fuel, equaling 67,500 pounds of CO2, or 14.4 pounds of CO2 to take our laptop from Los Angeles to Chicago. But planes can be expensive, and trucks kinda hit a happy medium between the two, being fast enough for most cases while also being relatively cheap. Trucks also have the advantage of being able to travel almost anywhere. It's for this reason that trucks are almost always used at some point or another in shipping. It's just not simply realistic to have an airport or a train station within walking distance of every building in America. The average truck in the US gets a gas mileage of 6.4 miles per gallon for diesel-burning trucks. These trucks can carry a lot of weight too, with the average carrying 55,000 pounds of payload. This means that in order to get our laptop from Los Angeles to Chicago, we'd need to produce 41.6 pounds of CO2. Now, you might be wondering why that's more than a plane. Shouldn't they be less fuel efficient? You see, planes are designed with fuel efficiency in mind. They have the advantage of not having tires for most of the trip to slow them down. Trains also have the best of both worlds, as the air resistance is virtually non-existent because the car ahead of them already broke it up for them. And trains only have small wheels which actually touch the track, meaning there's less friction overall. A large part of our nation's CO2 is produced by trucks for shipping. This is why it's important to develop better efficiency standards and new technologies such as better engines to help lower this environmental cost. Companies also have an incentive to reduce this as well, because the less CO2 that's produced, the less fuel they're burning, which lowers costs overall and makes them more competitive in the marketplace when they're trying to sell to their consumer. You can help by buying things that were made locally, as these don't have to be shipped across the country to your door. Things like produce or home goods can be good for this, as there's lots of places that produce them, such as local farms or factories. You can only help as much as you're willing to change.